gotcha. What style is that? It's my own secret technique.
Bishop Chronicles. Bishop Chronicles.
What's it called?
Checkmate, sucker, now the move game's over.
What's it called?
Adisa Banjoko from Real. That's right.
What's it called?
Certainly the black card burgundy.
It's my own secret technique.
Bishop Chronicles.
All my life, grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle, pay the price. What? Come on, Nipsey. You know what I'm saying? How are you? How are you? Hold on, it's time for a warm beverage. What is that about? Who invented that? Is that a necessary sound that human beings need when they have something hot or cold? What is that? Thank you for listening to FarsideTV.com. You are locked in to the Bishop Chronicles. And as always, I am your host, Adisa the Bishop, a.k.a. the Black Dragon of the West Side. Yeah. A.k.a. Zato Ichi. A.k.a. the South Bay Shogun, a.k.a. the Iron Hook Assassin, also known as the Hood's Black Ron Burgundy. How are you? Ain't nobody triller than me, homeboys and girls. Bishop Chronicles is the world's first podcast dedicated to hip-hop, health, and fitness trends from a West Coast perspective. That means it's slightly different than what you're used to. Ain't nobody out there lacing your cranium with this here vibranium, like, you know what I'm saying? Like Adisa the Bishop, also known as Uno Nuno. You know what I'm saying? So you can be down now, or you can bow down later, because the West Coast OGs, we stay greater. What is that, a 6'4"? I don't even know. I don't know cars enough. You know what I'm saying? I just be like, hey, when it's going down. Man. Thank you for those listening for the first time. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for showing up. If this is your first time, understand that this may not be the best thing. But it showing up is the West thing. But it showing up is the West thing. But it showing up is the West thing. Yeah. Do me a favor, subscribe, okay, and share this with two friends. Two friends. Not like, I'm sending it to all my friends because this is cool. Send it to two friends that you actually think are gonna listen. You know what I'm saying? And you know, I don't know. What show should you send? This one probably. A hot beverage. Probably this one. But it could be, you know, the last show with RZA. Could be the one with Mel D. Cole talking about what? Being black, taking pics at the Capitol riots? You ain't got no firsthand understanding of that chaos. Unless you tune in. Two people, pass it on and be like, yo, you need to really listen to this. You know what I'm saying? Because the BCP army is growing because of you. You know what I'm saying? Because of him, because of her, because of them, because of they, because we out chill. You know what I'm saying? And me and Mike appreciate it. Truly. We appreciate all of your subscriptions. We appreciate every time you leave a positive note, you know what I'm saying, and rating on iTunes and everything, man. It matters. Spotify, all of it matters. You know what I'm saying? We all here stuck in a pandemic, so we need all the props we can get. And that's how it is when you're dealing with the Black Ron Burgundy of the Hood. Welcome, Adisa the Bishop, live and direct. And now, green tea. Good hot beverage. It's time for the Heartbeat Props. What do we do during Heartbeat Props? We give props to the living. As you can tell, forget this and remember, all my real OGs know I've been doing this for pretty much since the beginning of Bishop Chronicles, right? We give Heartbeat Props to give props to the living because you don't want to be the person posting stuff on your IG, going to the funeral, making a big deal and stuff. That was my partner, bro. That was my partner, bro. Boy, if you don't sit your ass down in this church, give props to people while they're living. Give thanks to people while they're living, and give specific thanks for specific reasons. Don't go, but I got love for you, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's not what we're saying. We're saying go a little bit deeper and be very specific about why you got props for him, why you giving props. So I'm giving my Heartbeat props. And this idea actually came from Digital Underground. You know what I'm saying? The song Heartbeat props from way back. So this is something that I've been doing in my head and heart from a long time because it comes from the West, because this is how we give love. You know what I'm saying? Spread love is the Brooklyn way. I mean, that's not really West Coast. I mean, it's B.I.G., but it's the same spirit. At notepad_wisdom, at notepad_wisdom, a really sick podcast by the homie Sanjay out there in you know what I'm saying, in the United Kingdom, you know what I'm saying, because we global out here, right? And so he had Dees on, man, and you know what, he's a fantastic human being, hella funny, hella smart, but really his actual IG is lit. He has all these handwritten kind of notepad diagrams about how you can live better, think better, act better. It's one of my favorite pages on IG. True to life. I don't say it about nobody else. One of my favorite pages. A hot beverage. Also, a shout out to Matt at Chicago Chess Foundation. At Chicago Chess Foundation. Cool dude. We were chopping last week. You know what I'm saying? Working on these covert operations, boy. You don't know what we fixing to get into. Stop acting like you know something you don't know. Anyway, shout out to Matt. Love building with you, you know what I'm saying? And man, I just love, you know, how this connection of hip hop, chess, and martial arts is impacting people and growing in its own ways. You know what I'm saying? Organic, boy, like vegetables, you heard? At Chess Optics and at Chess Forum. Follow them both. At Chess Optics, at Chess Forum. You know what I'm saying? All of them, when we did the RZA issue for Chess Life, man, you know, they all reposted stuff and gave shine and gave props, you know what I'm saying? And I appreciate y'all, you know what I'm saying? Because that's not something y'all had to do. And that means a lot to me, for real, you know. We out here trying to improve the children's lives. We out here trying to, you know, help make young kings and queens of all these children who deserve better. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even just talking about like kids in juvenile hall that I worked with or kids in the hood that I work with at different high schools. I'm talking about kids deserve better across the board. You know what I'm saying? A warm beverage. Now we're on to the West Coast Word of the Week. What is the West Coast Word of the Week? Why do we do it? We do it because people come to Cali and they not really, you know what I'm saying? When you go to somebody's town, you got to respect their town, man. When you go into some other country, right, what do you try to do? You just try to learn a few words so you don't offend nobody and you don't get beat up or arrested. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep you from getting beat up or arrested when you come to the West Side. So what we're going to do right now is jump into the West Coast Word of the Week. This deals with specific action inside car culture. You know what I'm saying? Out here, you know what I'm saying? Lowriders, right? You know what it is, and muscle cars. That's how we roll out here. Low riders and muscle cars. That's what we do. With the low riders, they usually tricked out with way iller paint jobs. You know, hit the switches, pancake side to side 3-wheel motion. You know what I'm saying? You know how we do out here. You know what I'm saying? The blacks and the essays. This is what we do. But then there's another thing that we do out here that I really think came from the Bay, and I'll explain that in a minute. But the term is dipping. It's a verb. It's an action word. We dipping on these like, you know what? What is that about? It's when you punch the gas and the brake rhythmically to make the car look as if it had hydraulics when it in fact is not. Everybody actually knows it doesn't have hydraulics. It's what people without hydraulics do to, you know what I'm saying, set it off, you know what I'm saying? And I think it's a Bay thing, and I'll tell you why. Back in the day, I used to holler at this chick from Carson, California. You know what I'm saying? And she went to Davis. And so one day, me and my boy shot up, hey, blood, hey, Chris, remember when you punched it up from the Bay to Davis in like 45 minutes and we didn't get arrested? How did you do that, bro? Chris, like, if I was smart enough to rob a bank, Chris would have been my driver. Amazing. So Chris, we mob up there, hang out. Oh, for real, yeah. You know how we do, you know what I'm saying? California love, you know. And was dipping out, was leaving. And they was standing on the porch. And Chris get in the ride. He had this 98 Olds. It was sick. What was it, Chrysler? What was that? I don't even remember. It was Chrysler. I don't know cars. That's my problem. But it was fresh. It had the little crystal thing on the front of the hood. And so he starts dipping. You know what I'm saying? And he was playing like Public Enemy or NWA. He had something lit on. And the girl was with her friend. Her friend was from the Bay, but she was from Carson. And she was like, what are y'all doing? And then her friend was like, girl, he dipping. He just trying to act like they got hydraulics. And then we bounced. Yeah. So dipping, West Coast word of the week. You know what I'm saying? But now everybody dips all up and down. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? Dipping, West Coast, car culture. Get with it. And now it is time for the haiku. A haiku is a Japanese poem of 3 lines. The first is 5 syllables. The second is 7 syllables. And the third is 5. So it's 5, 7, and then 5. Syllables, not words. You got to count it out. You know what I'm saying? And so I love haikus crazily. In fact, man, look, I got a whole book of haikus coming out. I got a whole book. And, you know, some of my iller haikus actually got snatched from YouTube. Did any of y'all out there randomly know anybody who plays a shakuhachi, a flute? Or, you know, any of the Chinese or the Japanese harps? Anybody got love? Can somebody help me out? Because they snatched some of the haikus we had before. Shady. You know what I'm saying? And so, if you do, hit us up. You know what I'm saying? We'll give you props, tag you. You know what I'm saying? And we can all work in this digital entertainment sphere together. So what I'm about to do is a quick haiku. Mike, you know, it's been raining heavily along the West Coast, hasn't it? Why don't we drop some rain? Imagine you're in a small cabin. It's raining outside. There's a big fire, but you can't hear it. You know what I'm saying? There's a big fire, but you can't hear it. It's just smoldering with that warm heat, you know? And you're sitting around it and you got a nice little cup of tea, right? Because you love tea. You like a nice warm beverage in a cold storm. You got a blanket around you. Maybe it's even kind of over your head. You know, and you're holding the cup, you know what I'm saying? And you can hear the wind outside, but you know that you're safe. And then a shaman woman comes in the room. She's Native American. She's burning sage. And as you drink your tea, she waves the sage, chanting quietly something that you don't understand, but you can tell by the beauty and the depth of her eyes that it is a sincere thing. Alas, at the same time, you look across at another elder reading a book from an ancient scroll. And it is at that moment when he concludes that I share this haiku. You can smell the sage in the room. Look at the dead sage. Always cleanses and clears you. Knowledge from the grave. What? Rewind that. Look at the dead sage. Always cleanses and clears you. Knowledge from the grave. True story, right? I wrote that after having burnt sage in the room while reading works from Attar, right? So this is a sage. A sage is a wise person, right? And then you have the burnt sage, right? Both are no longer living, but are impacting your life beautifully. The scent and aroma of wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You see how I mix that up? The mathematics piece of the gods. And the sage of the dead sage leaves, clearing your space, clearing your mind, right? So there it is. And now the chess and life strategy. Okay, real quick. Middle game. You know, on one of the last ones we talked about the on the RZA show, we talked about the opening, you know, middle game and end game of your life. And so once you go after something, you've begun it, and congratulations for starting, you are now in the middle game. And, you know, in the middle game, it is important that you do not quit. You are in the mix. You have begun with good intentions. And, you know, I'm not somebody who does a lot of New Year resolution type stuff, but I really made sure that I was going to stay on my grind of fitness, right? So, you know, I kind of doubled down during the new year. It's not that like I have a new resolution as much as I step in with more intention. So I started working on my workouts, and then actually somewhere out of nowhere, do you know your boy jacked his back up? Oh my God. Unknowingly. That's when you know you old. Right? Like, you know, when you were young, like you knew, you know, like, oh man, what happened? Oh, you know what I'm saying? I was riding a BMX and crashing into the fence, or, you know what I'm saying? I came down on so-and-so and I was dunking on him. You know what I'm saying? But then they'd be like, how'd you get hurt? I don't know. My back. I don't know. I have no idea. You know what I'm saying? You was doing whatever you're doing and you just wake up in traction. You in the bodysuit. Right? You know what I'm saying? Or like back in the day, fools would be like, hey, what's up, man? You want to play hoops? You'd be like, oh man, my knee's bothering me. Right? Nobody says my knee's bothering me anymore after like 45. You'd be like, hey man, what's going on? Fools have a whole diagram of their body for you. They'd be like, well, the MCL of the right is not in balance with the LCL of the left. And therefore, or you'd be like, man, what happened to your back? And fools be talking about, you know, like, well, my L7 has a partial rupture and is not working in accordance with my medulla oblongata. You're like, damn, when did this fool become Doogie Howser? He's known nothing about medical terms. All of a sudden, fools be hurt. But don't interrupt me. Don't interrupt me. Listen to what I'm saying. So I stopped jogging, right? Because my back was like, boing, and I was like, ouch. So I had to just like lay down and do yoga and just completely dedicate myself to healing, because I have no idea how this happened. And so then it was time to jog again. And your boy was jogging fresh, you know what I'm saying? I had the cardio up, you know what I'm saying? I was like, don't call it a comeback. And I'm like, oh. And so, I had to start jogging again, and I hated it after taking just a few days off, because, you know, when you take a few days off, it takes some doing. So the first few blocks, man, I almost quit. I was like, you know what, man, I'm out. I'm gonna just go to the house and chill, blood. You know what I'm saying? But I said, nope, keep going. So you know what I played? I played Lyrical Boxing by Onyx. You ever listen to that song? Lyrical Boxing, hard. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Illa G. And then I played Sabotage on repeat. I will jog to one song for like an hour. It's weird. But the middle game can feel awkward. That is my point. The middle game can feel dangerous. The middle game can be unfun, but you have to keep pushing through. You have to trust yourself. You have to maneuver, right? And make the best choices from what you see and believe you can do. And man, when I got back, I felt great, and everything's been fine since. My back is gravy. I'm not tripping. You see him out here with Ice Cube, you know what I'm saying? Leaning on that 6'4", like what? And things are good. things are good. So don't lose heart in the middle game, even if it doesn't feel good, or even if you're in pain, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it looks like you're losing. Don't quit in the middle game. Don't give up on yourself in the middle game. And so my healthy tip outside of being consistent with warm beverages is really this. It's to get into yoga. Hatha yoga has helped my life so much. I've done Hatha yoga, I don't know, since around 2000 now. Yeah, I've been doing yoga like 20 years. And I know, Swami, your boy ain't levitating on nothing, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, back when I first got into Zulu Nation, which I'm no longer in, but shout out to the Zulus that are doing their thing. There was a Native American 5% cat who got into the 5% Nation of Gods and Earths while in Japan, where he was stationed in the military. And so anyway, he introduced me to a lot of the Eastern philosophy that I talk about. Shout out to Kawaim, you know what I'm saying? And he introduced me to a lot, like Confucianism, Buddhism, you know what I'm saying? Taoism. Like I never ate sushi until him. He took me to eat sushi. I was like, raw fish, that's gross. I'm addicted. And so that led to me, once I got into jiu-jitsu, I saw the movie Choke, which is on YouTube for free. Everybody should watch the movie Choke. Straight up. You can even see Hickson playing chess before one of his MMA fights. Factology. But anyway, I started taking Hatha yoga, and that led me into meditation, transcendental meditation, specifically TM. And, you know, I really learned that until you can sit with authority and conviction, you can never move with authority and conviction, right? Like, you know, you've got to be in tune with your breath. Hatha yoga is not crazy. I'm not talking about that hot box yoga where they try to sweat you out and make you die. I'm talking about just coordinating your breath and your movement and knowing how to be silent within yourself, right? And it's deep. You know, meditation and yoga is deep. RZA has a guided meditation thing. I think it's on YouTube and Spotify and stuff like that. Guided meditations are different. Guided meditations are when someone's kind of talking to you while you sit in silence and kind of follow their lead, right? But transcendental meditation has changed my life. It absolutely has changed my life. I do meditate in different ways. I've developed my own method of meditating, which I've talked about, called heart meditation. And I believe you need yoga and meditation in your life. I really believe you need transcendental meditation. But it's not always affordable. See, you know, if they have some scholarships going on in your area. But meditation is so crucial. So if you want to be better in school, if you want to kill them in hoops or football, jiu-jitsu, you want to get on the varsity team, you're trying to paint better, you're trying to write better, you know, as an author or a poet, right? You're trying to just feel less pressure in your life. You need yoga and meditation in your life. You know, one of the things I learned back in the day was that yoga, the purpose of yoga is to prepare you for meditation. So do that. Give yourself to it, you know, trust yourself. And, man, you know, if you do that, you know, when you first do it, I'm gonna be honest, it feels like a waste of time. You know, you do your yoga and you're like, that felt like nothing. And then, you know, you meditate and you be like, why was I just sitting around for like 10 minutes being quiet, whatever. But once you get into it, you will start the yoga, like you reach for something you shouldn't be reaching for, or you know, somebody will pass the ball and be like, hey, shoot it, bro. And you would shoot it and be like, no, right? But it's no problem, right? And you're fine. On the meditation tip, someone will try to set it off on you, or whether it's somebody driving past you talking crazy, or somebody at your job who gets on your nerves, like your boss or whatever, or even your parents or your baby moms will try to set it off, and you just be like nothing. And you don't realize until later that it was because of the meditation and the yoga that you didn't respond in the ways that you might have normally responded. All right. And so this is a beautiful thing. I'm telling you, in a pandemic, you need yoga and you need meditation. And as you get older, one of the things, why did I mention Kuei Mulan? Because he gave me the Tao Te Ching, you know, by Lao Tzu. And I don't remember the line in this moment, but Lao Tzu talked about how, you know, You know a tree is dead because when the wind blows on it, it snaps. But a living tree bends with the breeze, right? And then realigns itself, right? How do you know someone's old? Because, oh, can you pick that up? No, could you get that for me? You can't get it, huh? Right? Not making fun of people. I'm saying you need flexibility in your mind, in your body, in your spiritual heart, right? You need more flexibility. But you won't get it just sitting around. You have to move, give your limbs full spectrum motion, move your body and your breath. I was just speaking with Carla Berkowitz, who actually was the executive producer of Critical Thinking. And she said, you know, stretching without breathing is not yoga, it's just gymnastics. That really blew my mind. It's true. So I want you to look into Hatha Yoga. I want you to look into Transcendental Meditation. At the very least, go online into Spotify and YouTube, whatever. Same tool you be using to watch fights and all this foolishness and the memes, you can use to meditate, quiet your mind, coordinate your heart and your brain, right? And go inward for some inner peace because you deserve it. These are crazy times. On that note, I'm up out of here. You know what I'm saying? I got love for y'all. This show is bonkers. We got Casual from Hieroglyphics. If you know anything about hip hop, if you really, I was on Hip Hop Since Way Back on Facebook. That's where I like to chop up with my homies. You know what I'm saying? And they was talking about who was like your favorite MC from the Bay. Casual is my favorite MC from the Bay. Now I know there's a lot of different rappers from different places at different times who've done a lot of things, but no rapper is as diverse lyrically, stylistically, and intelligent to me as Casual. Straight up. Hieroglyphics, you know what I'm saying? The famous battle between him and Saphir. You know what I'm saying? If you know about battle rap, you know about that battle. And if you haven't seen the film about that, it's out now. You can catch it out on YouTube. I think it's just called Casual versus Saphir. I think that's what it's called. The battle, Casual versus Saphir. It's on YouTube. You need to see it. You need to understand hip hop history. It's a beautiful thing. Me and Casual go way back. People don't understand, like, not only how long I've known him, how long he's known me, but, you know, the impact that he's had on hip hop, especially in the battle space and in the record space. And you know what? Did you know this man wrote a book about hieroglyphics for real? Yeah. And we talk about that. How did he get that knowledge? How did he acquire it? Man, I'm telling you, there's a lot of knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in this episode. You need it. Hip hop history that you need. Inspirational stuff. He said some stuff that really blew my mind. You know what I'm saying? And I know he's going to open and expand yours as well. So, man, get ready for this conversation. And as always, before I dip, man, I'm going to say, don't forget to defend your smile. All right. Remember, smiles are like fingerprints of the soul. Nobody smiles like you. Not even identical twins. When they sit next to each other and take a picture together, their smiles are not the same. Right. And so you have to protect your joy, protect your heart, protect your brain. You know what I'm saying? And you always got to be able to look any hater in the eye and say, look, understand, if my joy brings you pain, then you're going to need some Novocaine. You heard me? Protect your heart. Win the day standing on logic and love. Think, but act with compassion, act with love. Now enjoy your week and you go be great. It's West Coast up in here. Casual and the Bishop building heavy on hip hop and mad science. You know what I mean? And that's how we do. West Coast, one love. Peace of the planet Earth. You know what it is, man. A decent of Bishop. Okay, it is West Coast hip hop all day, every day. This is what the hell we do. You know what it is. And so, like, you know, I can't lie to you people. I'm pretty lucky. Through the course of my life, I've been able to meet, let's look at them. I mean, like, in the beginning, though, which is the point, Eazy-E, Tupac, Half Gracie. I hung out with Haleo Gracie when he was still alive. He taught me wrist escapes, bruh. Hoist Gracie. Listen, I don't know why God does it for me and not for you. I don't know. All I try to do is share the blessing. And it is in the sharing of the blessings therein that I bring to you none other than one of the coldest MCs to ever touch a microphone. Casual from Hieroglyphics, West Side. Say it with me. What's up, man?
What's up,
How you
Adisa?
doing?
How you been?
I'm
All
chilling,
right,
man. Thank you for being on Bishop Chronicles, man. I really appreciate you,
Man.
man.
Man, whenever I can build with the bishop, I know it's gonna be a good time. You
Come
know?
on, man. Come on. So,
Yes, sir.
Happy New Year, man. How are you feeling? How you feel about the new year as it started so far?
I'm cool. When the new year was rolling in, I was wondering about our concepts of the new year. I'm like, man, I know people set resolutions, and it's a good point to use January the 1st as a reset point or what have you. But sometimes I'm like, why do we even look at it like that? Like I could reset on December 28th or
July
I can
10th.
change my life for any given day. That's one thing I had this year when rolling into the new year is, I could always set my personal new year on any given day. You know what I'm saying?
No, that's hella real. And, to that point, when I was younger, I would say around like 23, 24, the promise that I made to myself on whatever new year that was, I was like, you'll never wait till New Year's to change. And the reason was because I used to see people be like, this year I'll stop smoking. And then they didn't. And it was like, it's stage 4, you're out. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, damn, you'll never know had you quit. You know what I mean? Would that have been the beginning? We don't know. So I was like, yo, whenever I see like I need to just like work out, I'll start working out. Whenever I see I need to like change my diet, I'll change my diet. So, that's how I started. But then after living like that for years, about 3 years ago, I kind of figured that whatever I was going to do, like, okay, yeah, I need to eat better, whatever the resolution is, right? I'm gonna work out more. Whatever my resolution is, I'll just let the new year reinforce that. Right. So I'm not changing course. I'm just going a deeper dive. So if I'm working out already, I'll work out harder. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. So, you know what I'm saying? So far, so good, bro.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a person who's been working on balance. And I get obsessed with projects and stuff. So if I'm working out, I might start going to the gym 3 times a day. And then if my focus switched to maybe a digital project or something, I find that I can't find the time to go, you know what I'm saying? So I'm working on having more balance in my life, like using the clock wisely. Like, yo, these 2 hours are dedicated to this. These hours are for this. And, I've been working on that, with this new year rolling in.
I've been struggling with that. I've been really trying to like use my Google Calendar. You know what I'm saying? Like for real, like use my Google Calendar. You know what I'm saying? Use my alarm. I set alarms and be like, oh, I'm gonna hook up with so-and-so. Okay, let me set that alarm. And my life is actually easier. You know what I mean? Because too many things that shouldn't slip by. I never did until, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Well, it's deep, man, because I have this idea of this concept I have called the mosaic effect, right? And that is a thing where like sometimes people like family members, right? Close friends, and you're so close to them that you can't see all that they are because you're so close to them, right? And so sometimes when I think about this interview, what's troubled me is because I've, been around you on and off so much in the early years, and you know what I'm saying, HHCF, and you know what I'm saying, like sometimes I feel like I've been too close to you to not ask you the questions that someone would want to ask. So I hope that these questions are,
it's good.
Are good. You know what I'm saying? So first, I'm just gonna kind of ask you, just looking at you as a person, like, we know you're a murderous MC. We know you've done a lot in technology and all kinds of different stuff. But when in the beginning, before Casual was known in the way that he was known, when did you realize that the world was being impacted by hieroglyphics? Like, was there like, okay, me and my boys are up here, we're doing stuff, but was there a show? Was there a moment? What was the thing that you were like, oh, it's actually starting to pop, or it has popped, whatever?
That's a good question. How it happened for us we all was high school friends and stuff. And it really happened with our vernacular, with the slang initially. It came to a point in my head, I would be like, me and my friends would make up certain words. Right. And we would have only words we would use inside of our clique. And I would notice that people from other cliques in school would use our slang.
Try to pull it on, right?
To where it spread all throughout Oakland, and I started learning somewhat of a power of creation or whatever at that early stage, right? But then that same process replicated itself once we was released in hip hop, because we came out with a whole different slang, a whole different style.
Ridiculous.
And once people in hip hop responded the same way that my high school peers did formerly, like I was like, this the same thing happening. Everybody rapping like us now. Everybody is and I'm not saying that, I mean, I'm saying that
you saw the ripple effect of your influence, though.
Exactly. It taught me at that point that this is real. Like, I'm like, man, check this out. What you thought you was, you probably really are, because the response that you are getting from people is, you know, substantiating everything you thought about the impact you'd have on hip hop. You know, like, people don't gotta walk up to you and tell you how nice they think you are if you see them trying to duplicate the things
what
that
you're doing.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
it
fair.
Takes a lot. Yeah, it takes a lot
That's
for a
fair.
man to really say to another man, yo, y'all hella nice, and I'm trying to do it like y'all.
Yeah, hella
We
dudes
don't
would
really
not
get it
say
off
that.
like that.
Right,
You know what I'm saying?
right.
But that's when I really learned that it was making some type of impact. You know what I'm saying?
That's dope, man. I mean, it's crazy to see how legendary the logo is, the impact, you know, the you know, we'll talk about it in a minute, but the battle, you know what I mean? The impact of the battle with Saphir, you know what I'm saying? And the albums you made and the things that people remember from the Gavin ciphers, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just crazy. But like, you know, part of one of the things that I try to do on the show when I bring artists on is to help expose the fan in them, right? Because I mean, you're a master craftsman with a sword, right? Like, we know this, but like, you know, what was like the first rap show that you went to? The first rap show that I went to was the Fresh Fest. And
That
it was
mine too.
What? You were at the
probably
Fresh
same
Fest?
one. Was it 86 or something?
Yes,
At the Coliseum?
Yes.
I was sitting to the left of the stage, so I wasn't too close to the stage. We was off to the left, so if we was oriented, that a lot of hip hop people from the Bay Area was probably at that same event.
If you're from our generation and you missed the Fresh Fest, you actually missed like epicness though. Like, it wasn't just like, we're talking about like, you've been to a rap show and there's been hella people. Coliseum player. I mean, like, packed. You know what I'm saying? Like, do you remember?
Actually,
Go ahead.
not to cut you off, but I was just adding on what you were saying. It was packed in a way that they wouldn't even allow throughout the 90s. They only allowed that back maybe 2004, 2005, but this was 85, 86. You could go on about what you were saying.
I'm just saying, like, I remember how big the stage was, how many people there were. I had never conceived something that big. And so, you know, like, if you've ever been wherever you live in the world, I'm sure you have a stadium. So imagine that stadium's popping, you got your main stage, but there was a stage in the center, and there was a crowd of people between, you know, the big stage and the stage in the center. And I remember, and now it was a few years later, I realized it was Jermaine Dupri. But they had this one section where they had this green laser in a spiral. Do you remember? There was a green laser in a spiral, and it was on him. And then they played some song. He was like, bah, 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 bah. He started hitting, and the whole place went nuts, blood. And then I remember that. And then I remember in one of the intermissions, I think it was after Houdini got off the stage, you know, R.I.P. Ecstasy, you know what I'm saying, for everything he gave to hip hop, 5 minutes of funk and all of that, you know what I'm saying? I remember it was after Grandmaster D had left the stage, because I was really trying to be a DJ, you know, so I really paid attention to what DJs did and what people played. And I remember they played Mantronic's Fresh is the Word, like hella loud. The whole place was black. There was no, you know what I mean? It was in between. And then it was like, boom, tack, 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 boom, boom. And I remember I was like, I don't know what's happening, but this is lit. I just started screaming, and everybody was like, ah. And it was just like, no, it was Fresh as the Word. Yeah, it was Fresh as the Word, bro. Like that stuff is like seared into my heart. Like, unless I get Alzheimer's or I have some kind of like aneurysm, bro, like that's never gonna leave, bro.
From that event, if I recall correctly, I kind of, because I was younger. I'm 46.
Yeah, because you're
right
younger
now,
than me.
so,
Yeah, for sure.
At that day, I mean, I kind of remember. I just remember a lot of fights. To be honest, it sound like my audio glitch. Let me know.
No,
if I
you
still
good?
got audio.
You good?
Okay, I remember a lot of ruckus that it took me by surprise, and then
6ix9ine
'cause I
Village was in the
young.
building.
Yeah, exactly. And then I remember maybe some of Run DMC's performance. If I'm correct.
Yeah, no,
Other
Run
than
DMC
that,
toured.
I was probably like 7 or 8 at that time or something.
Yo, man, because I would have been like 15. You know what I mean? I've been like 15, 16. And bro, like 6ix9ine Village, I didn't know what 6ix9ine Village was, bro. And they came through there taking everything from anybody they wanted. And I remember waiting for my dad with my partners. Like one of these dudes had a chain. Remember, if you go to Pier 39, you know how they had the chains that'll keep you from falling out the water, the big ones. They were dragging some, like they was gonna beat fools with these chains, and they was just running up on fools, taking Kangos, members only, chains, sweaters, nigga, everything, bruh. And I remember I had my Kango, and I was like, oh my God, please do not see me. They walk past us.
Yeah, that was crazy. I think it was one of them events where my sister couldn't go unless she took her little brother.
Yeah, you got
mad I was there, but I was enjoying it anyway. But she was like, get out my face. You gotta be here. You know what I'm saying?
So like so then what was the show that you remember? Like, okay, I went to this show and they tore it up and I was just hella juiced, like as a fan. What would you say? Like,
keep it a buck. After that, I didn't get to see a lot of hip hop. And my next experience with clubs and shows was actually when I was kind of involved in it. I was going out looking for other MCs because House Parties was dead, and so it started with like, you remember the Bird Cage in Berkeley?
Yep.
Well, and like it skipped from that 85, 86 event to like 91. And in 90, even we were going into the Bird Cage in Berkeley. Right. And this was a really small club where MCs from Cal Berkeley would come in there and be rocking. And the reason why we liked it is because the MCs from Cal Berkeley were normally from all over America. They wasn't just spitting that Oakland style. You see what I mean?
So you could study.
This was we could go to a place and build with some people who was kind of like on what we was on, or was, so to speak. I was more inspired through the radio. Yeah. So in those intermediate years, it was K-Pool, and it was what the other station we had. It was,
I think it was like K-Pool, Calex,
KDIA. They had like a hip hop station that they played for a minute, and then it was K-Pool.
Yep.
And maybe KZSU came after that, but Kevy Kev and them came after that. But those were the people who was feeding me hip hop. I didn't have no other inlets, no other auxiliaries or whatever for hip hop.
That's deep, man.
Until we went to the Bird Cage. And I don't know if you got to experience the little culture that was going on there in the Bay, but it was real for real. That was some of the like first MC club where it ain't gangster. It's just all about lyrics, and you ain't got to worry about nothing. Just be raw on the microphone. You know what I'm saying?
I only went to the Bird Cage a few times because I was usually, like until like 92, you know what I mean? Like I was usually in San Francisco or the South Bay, you know what I mean? In those scenes, because the South Bay had a bigger club scene. So tell
me, what was hip hop in the South Bay? What was the venue at about the 90s?
Yo, let me tell you, first of all, I think to this day, San Jose is underrated as a city in its contributions to hip hop. And that's because of their club venue and their car culture. So when I first started going to San Jose, it would have been like 1986. So this is the same time as Fresh Fest, right?
Yeah.
They had a club for teenagers called Mothers. I could never get to Mothers. Everybody used to go to Mothers but me. But I used to be crying. My mom's wouldn't let me go to Mothers, bro, because I always got bad grades. So then this other spot opened up called Studio 47. There's nobody in the world that'll tell you, that's from my generation, that'll tell you that Studio 47 wasn't everything. Okay. Studio 47 was a dual age club. So it was 16 to 20 on one half of the room and 21 and over on the other. They had a wall. That'd be like shoulder height. From shoulder up, it was glass. So you could see people's faces only. It ran down the center of the club. Teenagers came in on one side, adults came in on the other side. Listen to me. MC Hammer, Rodney O and Joe Cooley, Mix-a-Lot in the early days. I'm talking about everybody's rapping about welfare lines. I'm talking about early Mix-a-Lot, not, Baby Got Back Mix-a-Lot. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Posse's on Broadway, and before. Bro, crazy. And the car culture was nuts. So they had Story and King, which was cruising, right? And that's where all the essays would show up. Be hitting, you know what I'm saying? And then the cars would be out so big, and the muscle cars, and then they had the Jeeps, you know what I'm saying? Like the Suzuki Samurai Jeeps. Remember when that was a thing? And then so you had a row of clubs. You had Studio 47. That was like where the teenagers would be. But then you had like Paradise Beach, this other one called DB Cooper's, bruh. Like, and all the 49ers used to go to DB Cooper. So all the super grown fine women used to run up into DB Cooper's, but then everybody couldn't get in. And like the culture was bananas. I'm talking about graffiti was lit. Like it wasn't just graffiti was lit. MCs was lit. Dancers was lit. There would be dance battles inside Studio 47 like all the time, and crews. It was nuts, man. It was nuts. And so like that culture was bananas. In San Francisco, I just remember one-off stuff. San Francisco used to have a real dangerous club called the Solar System in HP in Hunters Point. And the outside of it was painted like a galaxy, and it was really dope. But what they would do, bro, is so like you would go in, let's say you went in, right? You was all fresh to death, had your fresh jacket or your gold chain, whatever, bro. And what they would do is they'd be like, oh, fresh chain. That was the indication that you were getting robbed later, right?
Yeah, basically.
Because that's a fresh chain, bro. Oh, thanks, player. Yeah. You go in, and when you come out, give me that. Basically. So like the Solar System had a lot of dope shows over there. And then there were just like hang spots. So like in Hunters Point specifically, and everybody don't remember this just because it's not there anymore, but there was a burger joint called TikToks. TikToks was this big, had a big whale, like a big neon sign of a whale. They had some kind of stupid fish burger, but everybody just bought the regular hamburgers, whatever. But dude, MCs, people that made beats, they would pull up and just pop the trunk. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy.
So
you know what I'm saying?
It was an outdoor, indoor type.
Yes,
spot.
bro. Yes, it was all outdoors. Like you could just buy. It was all bulletproof glass. You get your burger, sit outside, be in the lot. It was like Giant Burger. You know what I'm saying? So TikToks was in Hunters Point. So like you go there and just vibe out, and people will come through from Oakland, from anywhere, and just play dope stuff and just chill out. Oh, you make beats too? It was crazy, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then you had like, I know you probably remember some of these record stores, but I don't know how long do you remember like Tease Wauzi? You remember Tease Wauzi records? So like Tease Wauzi, they had a lot of different spots, and because hip hop was so small, you could meet other people. Like if you went over to the hip hop area and then you see some dude with a Kango, you'd be like, "What's up?" You know what I'm saying? And then you just start like vibing and stuff. So yeah, I mean, but the club scene of San Jose was out of control. They had a lot of dance crews out of San Jose that were also out of control. And so that's where I tended to be between there. And then fast forward to like 91, that's when like the Kennel Club is popping. Then that's when like, do you remember One Up? You remember One Up? That was a big club in San Francisco.
I got on San Jose with the Beehive. No.
Yeah. The Cactus Club. Sweat. Cactus Club.
Yeah, that was one too. But they had this club I would party at. I forgot. I think it was called the Beehive. But that was early 90s.
That sounds about right. You know what I mean? Because they just had so many clubs. And I think that was a huge thing. But then the cops shut down all the cruising, and it kind of ruined. Once they shut down the cruising, San Jose, even though it's still strong, it messed it up. You know what I'm saying? So like, when you think about yourself as an MC and a performer, what is a show that you did that you'll always remember? And this could be like, because you perform with other people because the crowd was hella into it? Like, what? Tell me some shows that really just like, man.
I had some
that
good
was a
ones.
show.
I had some. I was like, damn. I had one Miami show. It wasn't even the biggest show, and it was just so high. The crowd was so into the
What year
casual
was it?
music that. At relatively recently, maybe 2016, 2017,
Yeah.
some tours I was doing. But some of that, it was just how much the crowd was in the casual at that show. I really appreciated it. But some monumental shows that I performed, I got to rock with Run DMC in Kansas City with the Hyro crew, and that always stuck with me. I got to rock with Big Daddy Kane and share the backstage, and I didn't even feel good. I didn't even share the backstage. I was like, I'm not taking up the backstage with Big Daddy. Like, let him have the whole backstage. I'll wait out here. You feel me? I really was doing that. Like, no, y'all gonna have him mad at me. I was like, nope, I'm gonna wait outside. And this is what I did go in there just to like get some juice, and then I was like, I'm going back out. It do say my name. It got our name split on the
slashed.
door.
Right.
But I'm like, that ain't right. Y'all didn't do this right. Big Daddy need his own room. I'm gonna give him his own room. But this is what took me by surprise. When I went in to get my juices, he called me by my name. And I was like, Big Daddy Kane just called me Casual. I didn't think he would know nothing about me. He was like, what's up, Casual? And I was like, oh, you feel me? Like I fanned up for a minute. Yeah. And so that performance was at Scribble Jam, probably 2004.
Hold on.
Or something.
Say that again. Scribble Jam. Yeah, for those youngsters, bruh, who don't understand that only the most savage, not only MCs, but fans showed up. You know what I mean? Like Scribble Jam had fans in the know. You couldn't be someone, hey, what's going on here today, guys? Like, if you were at Scribble Jam, you knew.
And it was one of the real first like hip hop festivals early on, before Hyro Day paid dues and all that.
Rock the Bells, right?
Yeah, before Rock the Bells, there was actually Scribble Jam, you know what I'm saying?
YouTube those battles, kids. YouTube those battles.
I think that's Eminem Juice didn't happen there, dude.
That was there. Yeah, that's where I learned about Eminem. That's where I learned. And I'll never forget one of the coldest battle moments. And I feel bad because I don't remember the guy he was battling, but when I discovered, who Eminem was, he was battling this dude, black dude, light skin, had dreads, and he was dope. There was nothing really wrong with him as an MC. But at some point in the battle, Eminem, the dude had just a basic gray t-shirt on that said Army, like one you just might get, after you registered or, got out of basic training or something. And somehow in the middle of the battle, Eminem took the ARMY and made it an acronym for some shit and like ethered that dude. He was like, A, R, M-Y, N-U-R, and everybody was like, oh my God.
That sounds about right, you know what I'm saying?
he dragged that fool, and I was like, oh no. I was like, you ain't coming back from that, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was crazy. Yeah. So and that leads me into, I love the documentary about the Saafir battle.
Thank you for featuring in the documentary.
Thank you for having me. No, man, like, and the reason is, again, full transparency, you might see me, but that was such a historic moment for the Wake Up Show, for you, for Saafir, for Hyro, for hip hop and the radio. Like, if you look at all of the, you know what I'm saying? Yep. Things that were affected by that battle, how real it made the Bay, how serious the world had to take us as a region, right? Like, tell me about the creation of that documentary and why tell me about how it got made. I'm curious to know that.
A lot of that was made with just on Shamari's own, creative impulse. He wanted to put that documentation together, and it came out pretty good.
That's great.
One thing I would say is how you just broke down all the layers that one moment spawned from that battle to the Wake Up Show having a battle on there every Friday for the next 2 years because of that one moment through their ratings through the screen. And then we get things like Lyricist Lounge that moment helped to spawn, and all these freestyle shows that start coming on MTV. Well, a part of presenting the documentary is also learning how to monetize our conflicts in this day and age.
Speak on it.
Not just like having some screaming debunker that don't help either party, but other people know how to exploit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Other people like, oh, this is good for viewership. Oh, this is good for. Ooh, I could bring in some advertisers, but you just so enraged by the moment that you never get the monetary benefit of all the attention that you just created for these certain platforms. And so I'm like, hey, I don't care if it's 20 years later, let's drop that battle documentary because now it's out forever. And now it's another way for us to monetize a conflict that happened 20 years ago. You know what I'm saying?
Man, it was so great. And I think the reason why, and shout out to Alex D, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, that's my dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, love that dude forever. And Shamari did a great job. Everybody did a great job with that. But like I think as hip hop becomes more and more digital, right? And I remember, you know, being a hip hop historian, being a journalist, being a serious student of the art, you know what I mean? And being an MC for a short period of time, like I was always trying to document with like real in intention. You know what I mean? Like this is important. You know, this is important. That moment was super important. And I think like, even as you spoke, you know, it was triggering in me, like how that moment made the Wake Up Show the proving ground for the value of MCs. That was the litmus test if you were any good at all. Yeah. And that's because y'all brought so much to the occasion that to come to the Wake Up Show with anything less, you'd be wasting your own time. You'd be wasting your own, you know. The truth.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, I felt a certain type of way about it back in the late 90s. Like, man, I didn't position myself the best way to gain from those events monetarily. Like, okay, if you're going to have battles every Friday after this point, then bring me back on and let me be the judge.
Let me say it. Yeah,
because I'm the one, it was my battle that set this off. Or let me and Sophia.
Yes,
that way
exactly.
we both monetarily incorporated. But again, you know, that was just
hindsight.
Me being young. Not knowing how to incorporate myself in it the right way.
And man, shout out to Saphir too, because I really felt that a lot of the beauty in the documentary was that it not only told the story, but I think it humanized both of you. You know what I mean? That it made you human beings, you know, like when you talked about when he came to your house and you came out like, what? You know what I mean? Like, that's how stuff really pops off. You know what I mean? When human beings go back and forth. And I just thought that was fantastic. Man.
And he really did create the personal, because I can't think of nobody before that who took a real, I mean, you know, before that battle.
Yeah.
He hit me with that punch and I felt it at the battle. I was thinking like, oh, he used that against me. And so he was sharp for creating that. He got wit.
You know what I'm saying? And no, man, there was so much about that was great. This brings me to my next point. And I saw some people talking about this on Facebook and people were going back and forth. No, this was on Instagram. It was almost related, but on Instagram, people were talking about the Bay Area and why it never blew the way a lot of people said that it should in terms of the industry of hip hop and the industry of rap specifically. And this particular individual, and I really don't remember, so nobody on Instagram say I was hating, because I literally don't remember. It was like a week or two ago. And someone said, well, the problem was, no, I think it was somebody said that an artist said that Bay Area management has never been on par. And so that a lot of the Bay Area artists never got the cultivation that they deserve. They never got the, you know what I mean? The industry support, et cetera. And so that if people from the Bay really hope to blow up, that they were going to need to start, dealing with more people in LA or New York or whatever. And so people were saying, oh, that's not true, And I said, well, look, the Bay Area always had independent hustle, right? I remember the mob music era when everybody in every hood had a label. I remember the compilation times. I remember when, Hyro was killing everything, right? But I said, we never had the actual infrastructure, right? We had the hustle, but we never had the infrastructure. And people were going back and forth. When you think about the Bay Area, and remember, there was the Gavin conventions. I mean, that was a golden time from let's say 1990 to 96. I mean, that was a murderous year, and in turn, a great murderous year to be from the Bay. Why do you think the Bay never became the other LA or the other New York?
That's a good question. Well, we also got to think about it outside of hip hop too, right? Because the Bay has simply been the Bay throughout funk music, throughout soul. It's been this little creative place that everybody knew had hitters that never really truly got exploited all the way. We can go to the Tower of Power, Sly and the Family Stone. These are some of the coldest bands, and everybody knew it, but they never was all the way on like James Brown or
right.
And so
like Rick James and his band and the way that they got,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
So a lot of it got to do with situationing. The way the artist situated geographically, because before the internet too, I would have to agree with some of those who said we didn't have management in place. I'm not going to say it wasn't in place. I would say we wouldn't have those experienced key players who were out there looking to.
Right.
I couldn't find them.
Right.
We had to make our manager out of a homeboy, and we all had major label contracts in a normal business environment. Musical business environment. If you got 4 bands that got major label contracts, management gonna be coming towards them to try to see if they can sign them up. But these type of things wasn't happening for us because we was in the Bay. You know what I'm saying? And we decided to stay in-house. Because if we was in LA, I know we would have been getting ran up on, like, you just signed the job. Who your manager?
Right.
Let me handle this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But
that's
those
true.
characters with that experience weren't making themselves if they did exist in the Bay, they weren't making themselves available or known. And so all the big hitters at about that time, think about the actual names of the people we would be having to try to deal with. It would all I would hear is stuff about like Foster and McElroy. You remember? And like if you was trying to come up in the Bay in the 90s, you heard these names. You know what I'm saying?
Real.
And I was like, I don't got too many in routes through those roads. So we built what we had for from internally. You know what I'm saying?
That's hella deep, man. That's hella deep. Now I gotta turn it over to a lot of people, of course, know me outside of my writing stuff for, Hip Hop Chess Federation, but very few of y'all know that one of the origins of the Hip Hop Chess Federation, like I had the concept, but then I went to the Hyro hideout and Casual was there. And there was a chessboard and we had a game. Or 2. Did we have 2 games?
Yeah, we had a couple games.
Yeah, we had a couple games. And I was like, Blood, this is what I'm trying to do. Blah, blah. So he was like, all right, if you put it together, I'll come through. And then we had our first event in San Jose. Our official first event happened at the MLK Library in San Jose. We actually got kicked out because remember we was making hella noise. We had a DJ in a library. We had a DJ. We had hella people. It was many. Kev was up in there taking heads. Denny Prokopos, one of the great fighters, was up in there. Luke Stewart, MMA, Ralph Gracie murder. We had so many different. The Brown Berets was up in there. You know what I'm saying? Like it was crazy. We even had we had some chess murders in there, and I was running around. I was going to go against Casual, and then Casual was not showing. So I was like, Casual's about to leave me dangling, bro. He's really about to leave me dangling. And then Casual walks into the San Jose library. And I don't remember what was happening, but in that moment, I don't remember what the hell was going on. They were getting ready to kick us out or something. So I did something crazy. And I said, hey, play my son.
Yeah. You was too busy to get the game going, so you had me play your seed. You feel me? Like, I'm gonna get you like this. But you put me in that was another chess game you played right there. Because I'm like, oh man, I can't beat the youngster, but then I can't take
I can't lose. I can't
gotta
take the
show him I can't lose or I can't win. You feel me? But I should have just beat him all out and just be like, go get your dad.
You should have. This is your king, right? You should have did that. But my young son, who, like his father, has game, came out on the W, you know, in large part to Casual's kindness.
No, not necessarily. He actually earned that. I gotta give it to him. I wasn't trying to think too hard, but I wasn't taking.
Yeah, you wasn't bringing it. You wasn't crossing him up in the paint.
He did some smart stuff. He did some smart stuff and got the advantage and never let up.
Yeah. So that is one of like the games played at the Hyro Hideout Studio. What do you call that place? What is it? The lab?
Yeah, we just call it the building. That's what we call it.
like HHCF's roots are largely connected to Hyro because of that. And a lot of people don't know that the games that me and him played, and we were just laughing, playing, talking crazy. Like that was a lot of the beginning of HHCF being real. Like, you know, that movement from, oh, what if hip hoppers played and we did a woo, you know what I mean? And that turned into you playing with RZA and Jizza. Paris came, who else was there? Sunspot Jones, you know what I'm saying? Like, bro, like that was a dope, you know, moment in hip hop. And so I just wanted to thank you for, you know, not just being a player partner of mine, but encouraging me to try to make it happen and then participating, man. Like I deeply appreciate it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man.
You know,
I enjoyed it a lot. And remember, I was working in the youth centers a lot at that time.
Yeah.
So it was good for me to be able to expose kids from the hood to chess too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because you were over there at
Youth Uprising.
Right by Castleman. Yeah. Youth Uprising, man. You know what I'm saying? So no, that was beautiful, man. No, I appreciate you. So now I want to talk about some rap stuff. Well, you know, I'm gonna weave in and out. You know,
it's good.
You know what I'm saying?
It's good.
So today I was listening to a song by, I think it's produced by Static Skelta. It had Raekwon, Joey Badass, and Black Thought on it. I'm forgetting the name of it right now. May Allah forgive me. When I tell you, and it's not even a new song, I think it was about a year or two back. Bro, Black Thought on that verse was in rare form, dog. And he murks mics. Like, this is not news, you know what I'm saying? That particular verse, though, struck me. Raekwon's too. Not to say that Joey Badass wasn't handling business, but there was something about that Black Thought that really got me. And then, you know, I was like, oh, damn, you know, you getting ready to talk to Casual today. Now, I'm going to tell you some of the people that I, as a fan of battle rap, would like to see you go against. And Black Thought is at the top of that list. Okay, I would love
rock with. You mean like,
you know what? Let's say rock with. Yeah, let's say rock with. Because battle now, and that's true. It's funny because
the energy.
Yeah, the energy of battle has. You know what I'm saying? I would rather see you rock with, because that would actually bring more out. Because if it's a battle, there's things that people won't do. But if you're gonna rock and cipher, right? I would love to see you rock with Black Thought. It's killing me that I've never seen you and Eminem in the same room. You know what I'm saying?
Me too, right?
Have you ever ciphered with KRS-One?
I have never had a cipher with KRS-One.
Now,
all those old Jive years, it wasn't cool like that. He wasn't friendly to us.
Yeah, now can you tell me about that? Because I remember there was a show in the Mission District. Crazy. You talk about hip hop energy. I mean, at the peak, boy. Well, bro, so this was in the cuts. It was in a warehouse. It was packed to the gills. It was KRS-One, Hyro, which you would have thought on paper being on Jive would have been like a fantastic right display of East-West unity and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not trying to hate on anybody. I'm just trying to tell you, if you don't know, like the media used to really not have love for East-West. Like nobody holds East Coast hip hop media accountable for what they did to damage hip hop between coasts, even though it was already there. But that particular show, if I remember correctly, and I used to talk with A+ about this a lot. Am I right, or I'm old, that KRS wanted to headline but didn't want to go before you, and it turned into like just some weird energy stuff? Right.
Yeah, he did some old school trick that people used to do to upstage you. Basically, you're a new up and coming act, and he's the headliner, you know what I'm saying, that everyone came to see.
Right.
That's supposed to go on at the end of the night.
Right.
Well, he was like, nah, I'm not going on at the end of the night. I'm going on now. Let's see if you guys can go on after me.
Right. With the intention being like, I'm going to ether the whole stage. Everybody's going to want to leave, and then you show up, and then everybody's like, wah, 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 wah.
Yeah, that took place, but it was, and then he said this on Wax. He was like, you remember that song he came out right after that? He said, the disc show in the Frisco disco was something like a Nabisco cookie. You effing rookies.
I remember that.
That's what he was talking about.
Oh,
nobody else knew, but you had to think.
God.
He was like, that disco, in the Frisco disco was something like a Nabisco cookie. You effing rookies.
Hey, but you know what was crazy? You guys destroyed that set that night. I remember no one left the building. So when Chris left, when he finished, because I was like, now you are giving me straight Total Recall. I remember if you were facing the stage, I would have been to the right. I was standing with my Filipino Muslim partner, because, you know, that's when the whole like pro-black Muslim thing, he was Filipino, salam alaikum. We vibing out, watching. Chris comes out. Jamalski comes out, bye-bye, doing his thing, right? They leave, and I was like, that don't make no sense. But I noticed no one left. The place was so packed. The weed smoke was still billowing. And then Hyro came out and killed it. And I know
think that
as
night,
an artist, that must have stabbed him a little bit.
Was it the Souls, just the Souls?
Now you're messing with my Total Recall.
It was a whole. I think it was just a soul show, but we was all there.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I don't remember rapping that night. I just remember supporting.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. But I remember everybody all night was like, why was KRS? What was, whoop, you know what I mean? And so, dang. So like, did that cause, so did that mean in general, and I'm not trying to stir up nothing, did you guys not do shows together in general after that moment, or was
Jive was there to witness that too? Right. You got to realize we had execs who was like, oh, this is crazy. Right. Even at that event, they like, why he doing this? And so you notice they wouldn't hook us up with KRS no more. They hooked us up with Tribe Called Quest after that. And so the Souls started. I mean, if that moment would have get good, they probably would have had us. Because I fit with KRS better.
Totally.
And Souls fit with Tribe Called Quest better. Totally. So if that moment would have worked out, I probably would have been opening up for shows for KRS-One, and that would have been a dope.
That would have been great, right? That would have been great, man.
But he wasn't liking us, and I understand. Like, you know, we hip hop, we got egos. I never took feelings to that. I just be like, I could be the same way too. Like, we could rock our careers like that, and then people would never benefit from us ever even doing nothing. But we never been connected to even be talking about each other. We only were connected at those points in times where we were a lot younger. But Kenny Parker has always been a friend to High Row. He always looked out.
I've always heard good things about Kenny Parker. I don't think I think I met him in passing at one of the Gavins, but we never vibe. You know what I mean? Like we never connected.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know, I would love to see. When I saw after Sean Price passed away, and I saw a video about how he had wanted to do a song with you, or you wanted to do a song with him, can you tell that story? Because he's one of my favorite MCs, man.
Oh man, he's one of my favorite too. It's certain MCs that use their brain in the way. Him and Doom both rest in peace. They use their brains in this way that make them appear like comic book characters, or they're bigger than life in the regard that they espouse the things that they're doing in a way that, you know what I'm saying? They seem like comic book characters to you.
I know.
Me? And so Sean Price was one of those MCs who had that effect on me. I could always see the cartoon caricature of him whenever he's rapping, smashing something, or somebody in the face.
Here comes the metal beard.
Well, we both. He said I was one of his favorite MCs, and that was one of my thrills. And so we started talking about working on a project. And I don't know if I went about it right, but I just sent him like 4 tracks. We should have brought other producers in on it, but we just started building on what we was building on. I thought he didn't like the material I sent him. He was taking time sending it back to me. But what happened, Planet Asia told me, he said I was kind of over rapping. He was like, man, he rapping so hard on that, I don't even know what to send back. And so we had delays that caused us not to work. And then I started working on a project. He started working on another project, and it just faded back. Yeah.
Wow.
But again, every time he came to the Bay, I was there at the shows because that was my dude, and we was working. And he's a jewel that we gonna miss. You know what I'm saying?
And I my boy Fanatic on Beats, who works a lot with Architect. Shout out to Crown Jewels. Fanatic and I, we actually 2 summers back, we used to teach at some high school and a junior high in Castro Valley and in the Mission District. And every time we would leave when we were done teaching, because he was teaching beat making, and I was teaching hip hop history, and he was like my TA, and we would like tag team and breaking stuff down for the kids. It was amazing. That was one of my favorite. I've taught a long time, but that was one of my favorite times teaching. And we would come out, and as soon as we got in the car, I'd be like, you know what I want to hear? And he'd be like, yeah. And we would just play Sean Price, man. And we'd just be mobbing through, man. Like, Sean Price is amazing, And I always also liked, Talib Kweli goes without saying, Mos Def, Daz and Corrupt. You know what I'm saying? Have you ever got to rock with Snoop or any of the Dog Pound dudes or whatever?
I have. I'm a bit more like a hip hop hermit. Souls of Mischief got Snoop on their last record, but honestly, I even personally, I'm not one who like to really socialize. I don't know why.
You're an introvert. You are an introvert.
All the rappers be there. I just you know what I'm saying? Because I had a few bad experiences with trying to open myself up to people and getting played and stuff.
Right.
And being like, see, I knew not to do that. I knew, you know what I'm saying? But I think what those defense mechanisms I got up held me back a little bit, because there were opportunities when people was right in my face and we both just stood there
kept
and
chilling, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Because we both was probably in our head like, I'm not about to break the ice or whatever.
Right.
And so,
Man, no, and it's real. Life happens like that, you know what I'm saying? One thing I wanted to run by you, which on top of my admiration for you as an MC, has been the fact that you're a legit author, man. And I have to say this now. This is something anyone who listens to Bishop Chronicles has heard me say this I'm never gonna stop saying this. So, you know, like, he going on that again? Yes, bro, he's going on that again. Here it is. You know, people always said that rappers were dumb and that hip hop was stupid. And then sociologists discovered that anytime you had a culture that was literary, they started with a strong oral culture. So from any strong oral culture, you will always end up with a strong written culture. And I remember when people used to be on old school TV, because I'm a little bit older than you, Phil Donahue, Oprah Winfrey, all the little Time magazines and whatnot. They would always talk about how dumb hip hop was, how it wasn't music, whatever. And now you see all these books coming from hip hop, right? You see your book, RZA's book, you see Jay-Z's book. You know what I'm saying? Every time you turn around, another rapper has become an author, and all these kids are reading it. And I think it's amazing. But your book is about Egyptology, right? Your book is about Kemetic science. Your book is about Black spirituality.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Magi, vanguards of Kemet.
Yeah.
Jonathan Owens as the author. 2015. I need you to tell me what inspired you to make that book, and when did you start going from being in hieroglyphics to studying them? What was that? And then where was the pivot from that to actually writing the book?
Well, those are a lot of good questions I love to answer. One thing, I had an epiphany one day, like, we calling ourselves hieroglyphics. Which one of us know anything about the hieroglyphs? And I was like, one day that's going to be used negatively against us. And, you know, I think sometimes just a divine appointment or whatever, that I was in a group called Hiero, and I eventually became one of the few Black men out here today who can help us understand what the language means. Sometimes you never know what your path is, but I was drawn to the Medu Neter as if it was my vocation, as if it was what I was naturally just supposed to be doing. You know what I'm saying? And this is the crazy part about it. Since we was Hiero, I bought my first Egyptian dictionaries, which weren't the most credible. Right. I bought like E.A. Wallace Budge dictionaries, but I bought them in the 90s. I bought them like when we chose the name hieroglyphics. You remember them? Hey,
if you was really about that life, Wallace E.A., but come on now. Come on now. Hey, wow.
But see, that was the beginning stages of coming into the Medu Neter. And once we learn now, we don't even use that material because he made so many mistakes and doing things. But again, it was the introductory level. It was the most common book that you could find on Egyptian grammar. So I bought that book just because when we came up with the first name hieroglyphics, I was like, let's choose, you know, at one point in high school, we was like, let's choose some Egyptian names just to have some nicknames, some extra weight in it. Right. But I was intimidated by the actual study of the grammar. I just would go through the dictionary, but I never would try to figure out. Later on, a few years later, maybe 10 years later, I started. So my studies began in about 2010, actually, maybe 2009. I started perusing the information. 2010, I started coming up with all kind of mathematical equations to where I could gain knowledge from. I started thinking, well, I'm not going to learn this in no school, right? And so what I did was I broke down first I would say to myself, well, what is a credit? Because I want to be accredited by my own standard. And so I looked into college syllabuses and how they work to figure a credit was just 1 to 3 hours of study on that subject. And then I looked to see how many credits would be a semester for myself. Literally. Then I did this. It was like 96 credits. So I said, well, this is a slow pace of information for me because I'm going to sit in front of this computer at least 12 hours a day where I'm getting 4 credits a day. If I'm looking at their
if that's that, by your standards. Right.
my information intake. And it really worked because after like 2 or 3 years of really sitting in front of computers for 8 to 12 hours a day, trying to keep up with people who I wanted to be my peers, but they already knew this information, but I couldn't dialogue with them because I always got shut down because it was stuff I hadn't read yet.
Right.
You know, I was like, and that's
Right.
that's one thing I just put just a quick jewel. Like before you start speaking on a subject, first peruse all the information that's out there on that subject, because you can't take no scholarly standpoint. Somebody just gonna point you to somebody who already discussed everything you think you talking about at that moment, and you showing them that you have not even went over that material yet. So I was running into that a lot. People be like, oh, you haven't read this? Then I'm like, let me shut up, get my reading in before I try to start talking about what I know about the Medu Neter. And it wasn't just my inclination to want to start talking about it.
No, I feel
but you do have to remember in the early 2010s, Facebook came out and these new groups start being formed on the internet where we would have these discussions.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be the chat rooms on Egypt Now or whatever in different places. But I was just drawn to that information. And then I met a lot of good teachers. I met the author, Asar Imhotep, who's a very good author. And I also met the author, Ujahu, a brother who wrote a book on how to understand Medu Neter. And we were in a debate group or a study research group called the Amin Ra Squad,
right,
in which we addressed certain
I remember when you was I remember those days.
Yeah, exactly. And so rolling with them dudes, one thing they always was like, yo, you can't just be around talking. Like, what are you working on? Are you writing anything? This is always a standard to be amongst the Amin Ra Squad.
Raise the bar.
And that helped me produce my work, my first book, because they never wanted to debate. They'd be like, you're not about to sit here and just talk to me because you watched the YouTube. Write it down. And here's my argument. And they hit you with 13 pages. And so I told myself, oh, they don't know who they messing with. I'm a writer already, but I'm just writing raps. Now I'm about to learn how to not have to rhyme, and it's going to be way easier.
Right.
And so I started producing material in response to them. And they'd be like,
okay,
you wrote this? Like, and then I learned how to source correctly. I never been to college. And so y'all learned in college how to cite your sources. But if you don't know how to cite your source properly, they got 2 or 3 different standards of how to cite a source. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn this because they kept swatting me down. And so this is how they say the dudes you hang around can either better you or worsen you. This is a good example of how meeting dudes through the internet helped me come into the man I am today. You know what I'm saying?
That is a beautiful story. And I'm so proud of you, man. And like on the real, bro, because you know, I think that we're still not understanding how hip hop is going to empower the planet. We're still not understanding because it's a real time explosion, right? So we can't see what's happening in New York. New York can't see what's happening in Amsterdam. Amsterdam can't see what's going on in Senegal, but it's all, you know, going off. And I think that in the future, the books by you and a lot of other MCs and a lot of the journalists and authors from this time will be having a huge impact on how education goes down, on how national and public policy, you know, and domestic policy goes down, you know, how schools run. I think we're really going to see that. Well, I mean, we won't see it in our lifetime, but that the seeds that we are planting and have planted, not just in the music, but in the books and in the magazines and in these kinds of videos will have a massive impact on people, man. But I just wanted to tell you, I
hope so.
That, you know,
I hope so. Thanks for the salute. And I really do hope that it has the opportunity to make that impact because I published it. And that's why more of us need to publish it. But if it does make that impact, that would validate me. And what would they, you know, it would help me even further. Because I like disseminating information, and that's what we like to do. So
Yeah, no, that's deep, man. Now, in closing, man, you like to do archery a lot, and you like fishing a lot, and these are most of my friends that I really trust, that I know are hella smart, are archers and fishers. I wanted to know, what do you get from that? Because you've always done it, and I also know Sway and Tech and them like to do a lot of fishing and stuff. And
I get a lot from both.
Like, tell me what you get from that.
Well, let me build on that. I'm glad you asked, because it ties back into what we were just talking about. My book is called Magi, a handbook for the conscious community. But if you read the title, it says Magi, the vanguards of Kemet. If anyone knows the history of the actual Magi, these were Nubian archers who protected Egypt. See, Egypt really didn't protect Egypt. They hired Nubians or Africans from sub-Saharan Africa who were skilled with the bow and arrow. And so again, another thing, like, don't talk about it, be about it, just like with the hieroglyphs. Mm-hmm. I feel like I couldn't be in hieroglyphics without knowing something about hieroglyphs. Mm-hmm. I felt like I couldn't represent the Magi without getting to a level with my skill in archery to actually represent what true Africans like myself did and were proud of. And so actually, if you want to look into the history, they were known as the eye smiters because in order to intimidate Arab invaders who came in on horses, they would put an arrow through the eye of a person riding on a horse. So imagine that skill in marksmanship and accuracy. And so the Magi archers, of course, I'm into archery too, but I also want that to reflect good methodology and accuracy and scholarship. And so in my book, I intend to, I don't know if I'm humble enough or wise enough to do so, but I intend to take after certain men that I've read about, certain Black men who were astounding characters who've lived on this earth. Brothers like, I don't know if you heard of a brother named Paschal Beverly Randolph. He was, he was a Black man who brought what they call Rosicrucianism to the United States. Okay. Well, but it was not because he was into these orders like that. It was because of the level of knowledge that he was able to obtain without a teacher, that when he stepped into any Masonic lodge, and you can read up on him, he left after one conversation, and this is crazy. He left as the newly appointed Grand Master of that lodge. You see what I'm saying?
Say his name again, bro. Say his name again.
Paschal Beverly Randolph. Because of the knowledge that he displayed in discourse in those meetings, they automatically appointed him with something. And so I'm like, man, I kind of want to be like that. And so with my presentation of knowledge in my book, Magi Archers, it's just articles, research I was doing on my own. But we know, again, when we're talking about contributing to a field, you got to first go into the field to make sure you're not putting nothing up that's already been put up there. So some of my works have been really accepted by the community as some jewels. I have one thing I did, and I'm in closing, I'm just gonna put this out there so they can know that this is how we really deal with it. I contacted the museum curator of the British Museum, and we got a correspondence and have one for years now, R.B. Parkinson's, over translations that he was having a problem with. But look, I think his knowledge wasn't the grandest inability. It is when we go into other people's cultures and we're not necessarily familiar with that culture, and then we'll have some translation problems. So I submitted my translations to an ostrakhan that's in the British Museum that is held by, overlooked. It was formerly overlooked by Parkinson's. And I got the email correspondence where he submitted to my translation. He's like, oh, well, I had a really hard time with that one, and I do agree with everything you're saying.
Wow.
And so these type of qualifications by people who are really in their fields low, because I could go to school for Egyptology, but
course.
that ain't necessarily what I'm trying to do. I'm more concerned with getting to the root of what would help us, if anything, from knowing this information, what could help us in this day and age. And in closing, I'll just say, me learning the Medu Neter make computer science look easy to me. Now trying to decode computer code, it's not as hard as it would be to me after I learned how to decode Medu Neter. You see what I'm saying? So now that we talking about how I'm building a virtual world and things like that, I'm not proposing like I didn't write the code for that. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it opened up a new way of seeing things in my life schemata or in my brain, to where I'm not as frustrated when presented with all the, and I've been negotiating my way through computer science very well. You can ask our developers at Hyro VR or whatever, which is a new virtual world that we got up and running right now. You know what I'm saying?
Man, let me say, man, thank you so much. You know, I knew this, you know, and y'all don't know, me and Cash been trying to do this interview for like 2 years. And every time we would get ready, something would happen. I'd be somewhere, he'd be somewhere, technical problems. And I actually believe that it's because of this moment. It was great. You know, it was great. It was everything I was hoping to hear and achieve, and I learned more, you know what I'm saying? And thank you for sharing your knowledge. Thank you for what you've given to the hip hop community. You know what I'm saying? Because you've given a lot, you've contributed a lot, and you've had a lot of influence, and we've shared some amazing moments, you know, in hip hop and, you know, just playing chess or whatever. And so I just want to thank you for that friendship and those years and what you've given to the culture, man.
Word up. Thanks for having me on the show. I want to say shout out to all the listeners. If y'all ain't keeping up with me, is Casual Rap God on Instagram, where I'm most active. You can tap in with us on Hyro VR or any place. So, you know, thanks for having me on here, man. And it's always good building with you. You know how we do. You know? Yeah,
man. Yeah. Well, word, yo. Bishop Chronicles, you know what I mean? It's a D to the Bishop, the Black Ron Burgundy in the building. I want you to have a fantastic week. Stay great. Defend your smile. You know what I'm saying? Don't let nobody get at you in a way that you can't smile. Retain your joy. Stay strong. And we're going to see you on the next one. Peace.
Teacher, what style is that? It's my own secret technique.